You are now listening to the Proper Property Podcast with Johnny and Luke.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Proper Property Podcast. I'm joined today with Yasmin.
Hello.
Hello, Yasmin. So Yasmin is a property investor who recently took the leap from full-time employment to full-time investing. We're going to get to know the person behind the deals that she's done, the deals that she's currently working on, and what she's got planned for the future. So welcome, Yasmin. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's great to have you on the show, on the podcast. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you're from? And everything you like doing.
So, my name's Yasmin. I qualified as a nurse 13 years ago now. I've worked predominantly frontline, and then sort of the latter end of that has been NHS leadership and management. I've always had a passion for property in the background. I bought my first house when I was 21. Made good equity on that. Again, bought another house. And I was inspired probably as a child by watching Homes Under the Hammer. But I didn't necessarily understand the ins and outs. And then just kind of lost the love for it a little bit, really. I lost the love for the job, working excessive hours, 24-hour on calls. And then started to look at social media and education to see how I could actually make that transition.
Yeah. Did you work through COVID?
I did, yeah. So I worked frontline A&E actually through COVID.
Wow. How was that?
It was hard. Yeah, it was hard. It was tiring. It was an experience that unless you did it, you would never understand the impact of that. And ultimately, it was a really scary time. I lived on my own at that point, so I didn't see my family because I didn't want to transmit anything. And just thank God for my neighbour, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it was really lonely. I was going to work and then coming home and not daring go near anybody because I didn't know if I would impact their health or their life. Ultimately, it was very much the unknown.
A big shout out to your neighbour, yeah?
Big shout out to my neighbour, yeah. It was lovely. And he even fixed my hedge trimmer when I cut straight through it.
As you do. Brilliant. So tell me a little bit more about yourself. So you're from Sheffield, grew up in Sheffield. Have you lived anywhere else?
So I was initially brought up in Doncaster, intake, shout out. And then my mum relocated to Sheffield when I was about 6 or 7 years old.
Cool.
And then predominantly spent the rest of my childhood in Sheffield, near Crystal Peaks. And then when I bought my first house, I actually bought it back in Doncaster. So I haven't lived in Sheffield for a number of years now, but I would still class it as my home.
Yeah. So Sheffield, pretty much born and bred then, yeah?
Yeah, with a little tweak.
Yeah, cool story. Me and Yasmin actually went to school together.
We did.
Which is, it just shows, Sheffield's such a big city, but such a small city as well. Everyone's connected in some way. And it's great that myself and Yasmin went to school together. Didn't really know each other at school. We knew of each other.
Yeah.
But then obviously as our lives have progressed and I've got into property, and then Yasmin's obviously got an interest in property as well. It's great that we've kind of reconnected through that, which is quite nice.
Well, that was the thing. So I had done some online seminars, sort of 2-day free courses, and I went for a catch up with my best friend, and I was sat and I was filling her in on, I've seen this strategy, rent to rent strategy I was talking about. It's something I want to look into doing. And she actually said to me, because I don't even think I had you on social media at that point. I mean, what a good 10 years after we'd left college. And she said, oh, God, Luke Green does something like that. I'm sure he does. And then that's when the social media stalking started. Boom. And now you can't get rid of me.
That's it. But that again, I mean, we've touched on this on previous episodes. That shows the power of social media.
Absolutely, yeah.
The fact that I know which friend you're talking about. She's never liked anything that's on my stuff. She's never commented on anything, but she's obviously seen it and seen enough to understand what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that when you went to her and said, I've seen this and I'm going to look at this strategy, it switched on a light bulb in her head because she'd seen it on my social media. which ultimately connected us, and we're working together now, not just here on this podcast, but myself and Yasmin, we work together in various aspects of in some of her properties that she does, potentially future properties or future
Absolutely.
projects, which is good. Okay, so we've touched on where you grew up, which is great. So what was life like before property?
Steady.
Yeah.
I think I've tried to follow the social norms, go to uni. I was the first person in my family to go to university. So go to university, graduate, buy the house, be stable, have this constant income.
The perfect matrix template.
Well, yeah, chasing that,
Yeah, man.
chasing the social norm, and actually, like, God, life is chaotic, and sometimes you've just got to follow your passion. And absolutely, I was so passionate about healthcare and nursing. That's why I did it for such a long time. But then it went, and now property is literally this like fire in my belly, and I just think this will work.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're surrounded by property people do think you're delusional.
Yeah.
But people like you and, the close network that I've got now makes me realise that it's absolutely doable. And that just brings the passion out even more.
That's such a good point. Not everybody gets property.
Yeah.
And people that aren't in property that have potentially got their full-time careers, they've got their mortgages, they're doing their usual norm life. For somebody to then say, I'm actually going to quit my full-time job and I'm going to invest in property full-time, they probably turn around and say, what are you doing? Did you get that?
Absolutely. Like, my mum is my biggest cheerleader, but also my biggest critic. And I've spoken to her about a few things, even the very first rent to rent. And she's like, I don't think this is a good idea. You're putting money into a property that you don't own. It doesn't make sense. And even now, talking about some of the flip projects that I'm offering on, she thinks I'm out absolutely insane. Yeah. But she's trying to understand, but it's just now, it's like, I'll just show you when it works.
Yeah. Okay. So you've touched on, you've mentioned rent to rent, and you've touched on flips. So tell us about the properties that the projects that you've already done. Are they rent to rents? Are they flips? Tell us what you've done so far.
So I'd done my education, I'd got compliant, and I'd had my company registered for about 5-6 months. And then I reached out to you because I just didn't have the gumption to just take that leap. And then from our first chat, I think it was November 24, I got my first property 2 weeks later, which was rent to rent. And then again, I got the second rent to rent in January and then the third in March.
Wow.
So it's, as you know, because you have absolutely been the person and my go-to to help me with everything. Like, I say it, and I know we laugh and joke, but I am grateful for that. You are the person that's provided me with a lot of support, a lot of guidance, and you haven't wanted anything back for it. Probably because I am an action taker. So when you've told me something, I have really tried to listen and just do it instead of coming back to you over and over again.
100%.
But those projects, massive learning curve with the first one. Got the keys, started having it managed by a different management company, and the old management company actually let themselves in and took all the soft furnishings and about £500-600 worth of stuff that I'd bought. So that was interesting.
So was this the property in Wales? Was it?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
So a good 4.5 hours away. So not the easiest to get back to get everything set up.
Nope.
Especially when I had the photographer booked to go in that afternoon.
And there was no soft furnishings in it?
Absolutely nothing. They'd even took the tea, coffee, sugar. They took the bath mats, everything you can think of that wasn't solid furniture.
So this was a management company that was managing the property before you took this property
Before
on?
I took the contract on, yeah.
Okay.
So lesson learned about key safes and access. I just assumed that the letting agent would have done that, but obviously not.
No.
And, there was no proof of anything, so I didn't get anything reimbursed, just, like I say, lessons learned.
There's so many lessons to learn in property, and everybody, it doesn't matter how many years or decades you've been in property, you're constantly learning. Every day is a learning curve, and that's one of the things that I love about property. Back in my career where I was working in hotels, I'd been doing it that long. There wasn't any learning curves. It was just a routine doing that. This is what you do when that happens. And it's just very, very monotonous.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it was the same in the NHS. Obviously, the amount of different people that you meet, they're all different and their learning curves. But in terms of the day-to-day job, I imagine it's quite routine, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when I got into the management side, it's very much there is elements of firefighting, but it's the same firefighting. Like
Yeah.
you know what fire you're going into every day.
Yeah.
So it does become very relentless, very tiring, very mentally draining. Whereas literally, like you've just said, every property or every week, every guest changeover, like something can happen.
Yeah.
And you've just got to be there and ready to deal with it because you've got someone else coming in 4 hours anyway.
Yeah. So these rent-to-rents that you've done, they're rent-to-rent service accommodation?
All rent-to-rent serviced accommodation,
Yep.
A mixture of contractors and holiday let. But we do have majority contractors across all 3 properties, I would say,
So these 3 properties, you've got one in Wales,
and 2 in Sheffield
2
City
in
Centre.
Sheffield City. Cool. And they're going well?
Really well.
Yeah.
So the biggest one sleeps up to 10,
Wow.
with 2 free parking spaces, and that has been 100% occupancy for the last 5 months.
Wow. You must have a really good management company in place.
I have an amazing management company in place. Stay ho save if you don't know, get to know. And, you know, all being well, they will be extending for another 6 months. So very
Wow.
exciting, a nice, secure income, ultimately, from a property that I don't own.
Yeah.
And that was my first property that I didn't pay a sourcing fee for as well. So, you know, in terms of initial investment, for me, it was the lowest initial investment and it's giving me the highest returns, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And arguably, the returns you're getting on a monthly basis are 3-4 times more than the person that owns the property.
Yes,
So
agreed.
anyone that says you're spending money on a property that you don't own, yes, you are spending money on a property that you don't own, but
I'm making money on a property I don't own.
absolutely.
And, you know, if you're smart enough, you've got your break clauses, you've got good relationships with the landlords, there's
Yeah.
no reason why you can't leave it in the future. You're not tied to the mortgage.
Yep.
But why would I and why would they want me to leave when they're getting paid X amount every month, no issues, and I'm then generating that income for
Yeah.
using their space?
And as we've said before on the podcast, when rent to rent's done correctly,
Absolutely.
it's game changing in terms of cash flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And that's the thing. So obviously, I've left full-time employment, and that, well, all 3 of those properties now are just cash flowing in the background while I now focus on the next step.
Brilliant. So what does the day to day look like for Yasmin now that you're not in a full time job?
It's very fluid. Once I've got something in my head, I can be fixed to that laptop for a good 12, 14 hours a day or on the phone.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, so it's just trying to create myself a little bit of structure at the minute, trying to not go into that deep hole and become hyper fixated or fixated on a certain thing.
Yep.
So it's really just about making sure that my figures are always right, that my spreadsheets are correct, and that whatever property I am going to be offering on or land I'm going to be offering on next is absolutely the right deal for me, and being confident enough to say, that's my limit next. You know, making those relationships with the estate agents. I have got some mentorship as well from somebody else along with yourself. So it's just asking the questions, understanding the auction process is something that I'm really working towards now as well.
Yeah. It's about being in the right places with the right people.
Yes. I think there are a lot of networking events. Not all of them are beneficial. So I'm now really trying to just refine what's worth my time and where am I getting those right connections from. Because I think sometimes you can become overwhelmed, especially when you're starting out. You feel like you need to be here, there and everywhere. But what do you want from the networking events is what I would ask people to think about. What are you hoping to gain? Because everybody's going into there with the idea that they're going to come away with a contact for private finance, and that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
So I would, just being really mindful. I think that I need to attend the right ones with the right people to come away with the accessories that I need.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic advice. So you've been doing some networking events.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best one? Putting you on the spot now.
Do you know what? I'm pro women in power, aren't I? So I do really, really like the hard hats to heels one. And I think Chloe's story is really inspiring. She's got young children and she's continuing to pursue a career in property. And I think just being in that safe space where we can, we go through everything, don't we? We've got all these hormones flying around our body. We've got body clocks ticking away. We've got social norms. And sometimes it's just nice to be near other women who are also very emotive, because as much as I sit here and I come across as a very strong character, I am a very sensitive person as well. So yeah, pro women in property.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, hard hat to heels. Obviously, Chloe's fantastic. She just launched the hard hat
You
to
gave
heels
me
in Sheffield.
her name, actually.
Yeah, and again, and the reason I did that was because I knew that she would be one of the right people for you to talk to, and ultimately you've reached out to her, and you're going to a networking events. You've met her up in person, and it's good. It's really, really good, and it's all about meeting the right people.
Absolutely.
In the right circles. Okay, so I've got a couple more questions to run by you. So, what's been the biggest challenge in this transition? So, obviously, you've transferred from full-time employment.
Yeah.
You're now full-time investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've recently
I keep saying I'm unemployed, but
I
really need to stop that.
You've recently said to me, I no longer have a job. You do. It's just you're working for yourself now.
Yes.
So what's the biggest challenge in this transition that you've come across?
Myself and mindset, absolutely. Like, what is the fear? And the fear is absolutely other people's opinions and people thinking, what on earth is she doing? Like, what is she doing? Why is she posting this video? And I'm really trying now to push myself, push my boundaries and think, do you know what? I know my people and they will support me no matter how delusional they actually think my ideas are. And for everybody else, they're going to judge me anyway. So let them judge me when I've succeeded in what I set out to do, because I will.
Love that. Yeah, love that answer. Good. So you've currently got rent to rents.
Yep.
What's next on the pipeline?
Flips. So I have sat
Back flip or front flip?
Both. I'm up for both. I'll take on the challenge. I've set out my 5-year strategy, worked backwards, and for the next 12 months, starting from August, so last month, is to do 2 flips. So buy them below market value, obviously renovate, sell them, make a profit, on to the next. And then the third property that I'd like to do, or at least be starting within the end of that 12 months, will be a BRR. So I will buy it, renovate it, and I would like it to be a HMO.
Okay.
Refinance it, pull that cash back out, and then that's my first asset cash flow in as well, alongside the rent to rents.
Absolutely. And with it being a HMO, it should be a high cash flowing property.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the asset appreciation on the back of that is usually fantastic, especially if it's a larger property, which they usually are if they're going to be a HMO.
Yes. So that is the plan. And I'm already actively viewing off-market properties. I've got a property under offer.
Fantastic.
I am really trying to push my comfort zone in terms of pitching my deal, because I think previously I've felt this stigma of, I don't want to ask people for money. But actually, this is a business investment.
Yep.
This is an investment opportunity for private investors to get a really good return on money that they are probably just sat on, just lazy money in the bank that's not going to be doing anything. And you know, ultimately, depending on the value, the security's there with the first charge against the property if they're going to fund the whole project. So now I'm just putting myself out there and I'm having really good conversations with some potential private investors for the future. And if I can't get one, but I'm sure I will, then, you know, I've got my own plan in terms of using a pot of money that I've got to increase that and then just to fund them myself with some bridging finance. So I think when you've got the people, you've got the knowledge, you understand these big projects, they're not that scary and they're absolutely doable.
100%.
Because I came into the flip side initially looking at it thinking I need a, you know, a two bed terraced house. I can't spend more than, you know, 40, 50 grand on it. And then but my profit margins are tiny. So I'd have to do 10 of those when I could get that back from 2 flips.
Yep. 100%. Especially if you're using bridging finance as well, the margins just get tighter and tighter.
Exactly.
So yeah, sometimes even though you are using potentially somebody else's money, sometimes the bigger property is more beneficial because the margins are bigger. And the bigger the margins, the more money everybody makes. And that's a common misconception when people hear that we're using or potentially using other people's money and investors' money. We're not asking for money. We're not asking them to borrow us money. Ultimately, we are, but we're giving them an opportunity to make their lazy money, as you've said, which is a perfect analogy, make their lazy money work.
Yeah.
Make their money work for them, because ultimately it's sat in the bank. The interest rates that they're getting on in the bank account or any savings account, bang average. Whereas ultimately we can offer between 8 to 12% on
completely
that money. Completely hands off. And they make the money work for them.
And they get it regardless. Get it regardless. The risk is sat purely with us as investment companies and property companies.
Yeah.
You know, if I work my figures out wrong, they're still going to get their money.
Of course they are, yeah.
That wouldn't happen. But in terms of security for them, that is the agreement over a fixed term.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah. And I think we touched on that in a separate conversation before the podcast on a deal that you were potentially looking at and we were discussing. As long as the ducks are aligned and as long as you're comfortable with that property or that project making X amount at this cost and the exit is this amount and you've done your due diligence, you've worked out what could go wrong, how we're going to mitigate that going wrong and make sure it doesn't go wrong. As long as you're being professional about that and we're open and transparent with the investor and we're explaining that this is how it's going to work, this is what's going to happen. Ultimately, it's not borrowing somebody's money. It's helping them, help us. And as me and Johnny have said on multiple episodes, win, win, win. Yeah.
Exactly. And it only takes one person to believe in you.
Yeah.
So for you to sit there and listen to me on that day and think, do you know what? She's halfway there. I'm just going to give her a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of guidance.
Yeah.
I'm now here 9 months down the line saying that I've got high flowing 3 rent-to-rent properties and now I'm on to the next. And it only takes one person to invest in you.
Yeah.
And you're set. You've got good working relationships. You're following through with the agreement. And that is literally all it takes is that one person to have faith in you as an individual.
To be honest, Yasmin, all I did was tell you to put your big boy pants on and jump off the cliff. And ultimately you put your big boy pants on, you jumped off the cliff, and now you've gone from wondering what if
Yeah.
to being in control of 3 properties that are cash flowing. And from that cash flowing properties, you're now in the position to move to the next stage of flipping properties, investing in BRRs. We've had another separate conversation about land and planning development. And it's just really, really exciting that from 9 months, you were sat there wondering what could be with a notepad, petrified. And now you're coming to me saying, I've seen this land, blah, 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 blah. And it's absolutely fantastic because ultimately I'm sat there saying, I wish I'd seen that land. So yeah, really well done to you. You've absolutely smashed it from where we were. And I knew you would, because when we had that coffee, everything that you were saying was exactly the right things. And I knew that as soon as you did put your big boy pants on and jump off that cliff, you were going to smash it. And you've done that. all by yourself. So massive, massive round of applause. Well done.
Thank you. Don't be too nice. It's out of character, Luke.
I know, yeah. I'll be nasty to you after this. So what's the big picture? You've just said you've got a 12 months plan, 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've done that 5 years. You've executed everything that you said you wanted to do. So by your plan, you have now got 2 flips under your belt and you've got a BRR with an asset appreciating property. What's the next 10, 15, 20 years look like?
Oh, so the end of the 5-year plan actually would be to have done 8 flips.
Okay, yeah.
And have a combination of 8 cash flowing assets.
Of course, yeah, because that was just the
That
first
was just
year.
the first year.
Sorry, yeah. Boom.
Yeah, so a combination of 8 long-term buy-to-lets that have all been BRR'd and HMOs that have also been BRR'd. So at the end of it, in 5 years, I would like to be sat there having refinanced the lot.
I thought you were going to say sangria.
No, it doesn't end.
All right.
Refinance the lot, pull it all out, commercial.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the interim, I would love to probably buy some land or an old farmhouse and develop that for myself to live in.
Yep.
Because part of this journey was not selling my house and not buying another one. So I've gone into rented just to free up my financial commitments as well.
Yep.
Which has given me a little bit more money in the bank from equity of previous properties. So yeah, 5 years' time looks like a lot of money in the bank, cash flowing assets, leveraging all the finance I can and putting it into commercial for long-term rental income and cash flow, where then I can get the sangria, put my feet up and just... I'd probably not stop then, to be honest, because I'll not even be 40. But do you know what? Like, what a life to think about.
100%.
40 years old or 39 years old, and that's the potential.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's pretty much it from
Thank
this
you.
episode. Absolutely amazing. Great to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, fingers crossed everything goes well for you. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
And hopefully you come back on in 5 years' time, in 1 year's time, or even less, and you say, smashed it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you will.
I'd love to come back on. Thank you.
Cool. That was Yasmin, everybody. Hearing her story was really, really inspirational for anybody that is potentially looking to get into property. Just looking what Yasmin has achieved in the last not even 12 months is fantastic. So if you are looking to get into property, Yasmin is definitely a source of inspiration. So reach out. You can find her on social media. Are you on social media? You are?
I am. Instagram is probably the best one. So it's 7 spelt out, SEVEN 11 properties _limited. 7-Eleven is my birthday, in case you're all wondering. No, it is not a petrol station or a convenience store. Let's just clarify.
7-Eleven definitely is an American petrol station. But yeah, reach out to Yasmin. She's got a great social media as well. If you want to follow her story, it's great to keep in touch with her via that way. So yeah, please do reach out. And if you want to jump on the podcast, if you're a property investor or if you've got a story that you want to talk about, please do reach out to us at Olive Venture Properties. We'd be more than happy to get you on the podcast. Thank you so much. I've been Luke.
And I've been Yasmin.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. And why not follow us on Instagram at Olive Venture Properties.